Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the conversation. This afternoon, we have a very good friend of mine to discuss some very important issues, like we always do at the conversation, bringing you young and prominent Gambians to discuss Gambian issues the way forward. As always, we will always, bring you different subjects. I know we have been dealing with a lot of political issues, and I was able to speak to Mr. Sol Baji a few days ago, and Sol and I were able to talk about some very important issues, some educational matters, and which I think is a very important part, of what we are currently dealing with, because we all know the education system back home, it's not the best, and it's definitely on a downslide. It is also very important that we highlight some of the elite in our society, some young men and women who obviously have come a long way, and to hopefully talk to the younger generation that is coming in, show them the importance of education, and hopefully guide them, because in most cases we do get to the United States. Our number one focus is always trying to get a job, to support the folks back home. Many fail to prepare themselves in the process. We're going to use the platform today to talk to Mr. Musa Manneh of Bansang. Musa, are you with us?
Yes, Mr. Krubally, I'm with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Musa. Welcome to the conversation.
Thank you for having me on your show, Mr. Krubally.
Thank you. So, like I was saying, Musa, obviously I brought you in today to, talk about, some educational matters, hopefully, talk to that younger generation that is coming in. You and I are fortunate to come to the United States and, took advantage of the educational system over here. And obviously we all know that it's probably one of the safest routes to securing a good future. But many have also fallen on that route where they've come, they worked, and we all know the body cannot take, that hard work, and it gets to a point where you break down. And, unlike when you're educated where, your, work lifespan is a lot longer. Today we're going to focus on the education system, talk to the younger generation, the importance of it. But before we go into that, can you just take a quick moment to introduce yourself to the listeners or to that individual who doesn't know who Musa Manneh is, where you hail from in the Gambia and where you live right now in the United States and what you do?
As you just mentioned, my name is Musa Manneh. I was born in Bansang, and I went to Bansang Primary School, and currently I'm living in the United States, New Jersey. I'm an adjunct professor at Seaton Hall University, and I'm also an administrator. Pretty much that's what I do. My life is more about education, and that's what I've been known for the last couple of decades.
Thank you so much. So you said you're currently in New Jersey and you work with Seaton Hall University. Is that correct?
Yes, I work at Seaton Hall University as an adjunct professor and also as an administrator. I work for a department called Educational Opportunity Program. Pretty much we bring in minority students from New Jersey. We give them the opportunity to go to university. For the fact that most of them have financial issues and coming from dysfunctional families, so we try to bring them over so that they can have better education to have better life in the future.
Good. Thank you so much. I'm sure we will touch about that. That's a very important aspect of this conversation here for people to understand that there is help out there for them. But Musa, before we get started, you and I are, alma maters of Armitage High School. We were there, I believe, the same times. Although I believe I was, a couple of classes ahead of you. Can you just, talk about Armitage? I know that you were an avid soccer player, someone that obviously left your mark there with the junior team. That always beat St. Augustine's High School, no matter how many stars they bring over. I just have to highlight that. But we also were fortunate enough to work with Mr. Solomon Cole, who was our PE teacher, a great leader, someone who gave us some good advice. Obviously, you do know that he passed away about a month ago. So maybe, just take a quick minute, talk about your Armitage life, and a short tribute to Mr. Solomon Cole.
Thank you very much, Mr. Krubally, for bringing in Armitage in our conversation here. As I just mentioned, I went to attended Bansang Primary School. From there, I went to Armitage High School from 1982 to 1987. As you just mentioned, Armitage is a place that made people like myself, Mr. Krubally, and a lot of people. I'm going to elaborate a little bit about Armitage. As we all know, the motto about Armitage is enter to learn and go forth to serve. Armitage prepare all of us for what we are doing today. I was lucky to be one of the students who attended Armitage High School. In 1982, when I went to Armitage, I can just say I was one of the few people, let's say, coming from Bansang. I never went to school. I'm somebody who never liked school at the beginning. Actually, they used to force me to go to school. There was a time we used to have they call it crack wheat in the primary school level. So I used to tell my parents that no crack wheat cooked in school, I wouldn't go to school. But Armitage changed my life, as you just mentioned. Both academically and also in terms of sports. When I went there, I was able to meet good people and very, 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 very good teachers. Armitage was just like not a university in terms of standard, but it's somehow a community college standard when you come to when you compare it to the United States, because we were well prepared there academically in terms of discipline, and it was in Armitage that I even learned democracy. I even learned how to express myself, because everything was done democratically, in a way we vote for our CFOs, our alcaldes, and for our leaders. So everything was done in a way that we were prepared for the war. So coming to the soccer aspect of it, football, which we call football back home, I played for the junior team in Armitage with the likes of Sexen, Bunka Suso, Lamarana Jallo. We had a very good team in those days, and we were beating teams like St. Augustine High School, Gambia High School, St. Peter's, many schools. We were one of the best in the country those days. And that credit goes to our coach, Solomon Cole, who just passed away a couple of weeks ago. It's sad to hear that he's gone, but he was like a father figure to me. I was just like his special child when I was in Armitage. I was untouchable in Armitage those days because of Coach Solomon Cole. He made life easy for many of us who were playing in the junior team, and not necessarily as a soccer player, also as an academic student, because most of the people who were even playing during that time in the junior team, we were prepared academically. We weren't just average students. We were people who were just well prepared for the war. So I give credit to Armitage, and I give credit to senior students like you or MB Krubally, who was we were in the same Kundat, I think Sandas, if I remember. We look up to many of you people as our role model, and this prepares us to be where we are today, because without schools like Armitage, or without Armitage, many of us would have gone on the wrong way. Because myself, I was never prepared for school. Armitage prepared me for what I am doing today in my life.
Indeed, Musa, you're very right. That motto for Armitage, where you enter to learn, go forth to serve, I think that is definitely the case for Armitage High School students. When I look around, those Armitage High School students that I know, and most people that are very active doing their thing, there's always some, a whole bunch of Armitage High School products there. And obviously, we are making our mark. And, back you talked about the soccer thing where we beat St. Augustine's High School. I think that needs to be highlighted, that we owned them back then with the junior team. Of course, with the senior team, they would bring international players like Assis Core and all that stuff. But when it came to real soccer, where it was kids, we own them, and not to talk about Gambia High School. Those people never mattered anyway, and Nusrat and those people. So, but I thought we'll highlight that. Now, Musa, you talked about Armitage. I just wanted to take a moment and explain how has Armitage really helped you, because I spoke with Karamba Toure. He said he got there as a teenager, 12, 13 years old, and left with a better understanding of the world. To you, what are some of the experiences that you can look back at Armitage that says, this is the things that, really helped me? Like you said, that's where you learn the democratic process, election process where we elect our CFOs, our, alcalos and stuff. Just take a step back and just, how has Armitage really shaped, Musa Manneh to, understanding the world and understanding the importance of education and bettering yourself for the future?
Yeah, I thought Benson, I just mentioned, when I went to Armitage, I was one of the few students who were prepared for education, and in the Gambian standard higher education, because at that time at the high school and the colleges were the institutes of higher education, I can say, because we didn't have a university at that time. With the educational standard that you have in Armitage at that time, prepare individuals like us, when we entered universities in Western countries or in other countries, to be very, very, very good students, because Armitage was structured in such a way that everything is about success. And that success means that you go to classes, you have night studies, and you have everything is structured. Everything's about discipline. Time to go to sleep, time to go to the mosque, time to go to the church, or whatever, time for lunch. So you structure your life in such a way that wherever you go, if you go through a system that is structured like Armitage, you tend to fit in anywhere in this world. And also not in terms of academics, it prepares you to be a global citizen in the sense that in Armitage we have different people coming from different parts of the Gambia, different ethnicity, people coming from as far as I remember, some people used to come as far as South Africa. We used to have students coming from South Africa during those days, Armitage, and people from Namibia, South Rhodesia or North Rhodesia, present-day Zimbabwe. So Armitage was a place, was a global place, I can say, where people come from all ethnicity, all races. We were there, and in that sense, it prepared all of us. If you attended Armitage High School at that time, and today you live in any part of this world, people look at you differently because you tend to be somebody who is open-minded and very receptive and very understanding, because you see the world through the lenses of other people in our eyes, because you see everybody equal, everybody the same. You don't differentiate people based on their ethnicity or their religious or political orientation. It's all about we are one people. Enter to learn and go forth to serve. That alone summarizes what the school was all about. It's all about people. It's all about helping out. It's all about looking at everybody as equal, regardless of your cultural, ethnic, or political background. So it prepared me as an individual, being somebody who went to school in, I can say, 4 different countries. I can see the impact of Armitage on me in terms of hardship, in terms of education, in terms of socializing with other people. I can see that in the eyes of people like yourself, MB. So I know today it's not about you, but I've heard about what you've been doing. And I think without Armitage, some of us would have been very limited in our way of doing things in this world. So I give the credit to Armitage as a school.
Thank you so much, Musa. You're definitely right. This is the school that we learn the democratic process, the elections, as structuring life. We know, life, obviously, in order to succeed, you're going to have some type of structure, the prayers, making sure that you wake up on time, making sure you clean, making sure you do your laundry, making sure there's a process, and looking back at those things, that is really what made us. And the fact that you mentioned something very important. I know that I was back then part of a group of people that considered the people from Basse. We were never identified as, Maninkas or Fullers or anything like that. It was like Basse Boysol, because, and even that, I really never mingled with them. We would once in a while get together and talk, because we were all from, Basse, Sekou Bachili was Sarahule, I was a Maninka, they were Fullers, and, it was just a very unique society that, translated what we're truly about. And, it is rather unfortunate to see that, once we get out of there, then, the real world out there, it's a little different, and especially in our nation today where tribe is being used to really divide us. But we'll get to that in a little bit later on, Musa. You obviously had the opportunity to experience Gambian educational standards, and you went through it, and you understand it. Then you came to the West, and now you're part of a very, one of the, elite schools in the United States. Can you compare the two, standards of schooling, or are you concerned, since you're from the Gambia, that other students just compare the two standards for me? Like, United States standards and the Gambian standard as you know it?
Well, if I have to compare to the two school system or the two standards, I always tell my students when I was in the Gambia, when I was a student in the Gambia, I never had the opportunity that they have today here in the Gambia. During our days, the educational system was very effective. Efficient in terms of Armitage, and I went to Gambia High School too, where I did my 6th form. The school systems in the Gambia those days were very, very good, but we didn't have the resources to help us out to do things. So in terms of let's say lab work, in terms of good books. The teachers were excellent, but compared to the United States where we are, and everything is available in terms of technology and other stuff. They have access to everything. I tell my students, you have access to everything. When I was going to school, I can't even have a calculator to do my work. Everything that I have to do is either I have to learn it from the book or I have to learn it from the teacher. And we didn't have the opportunity even to question the teacher, So everything was teachers oriented, everything was controlled by the teacher in the classroom. But here you have everything, where you can do anything that you want. You can go and use the internet, you can go and use the library, and you can use many resources that can develop your way of thinking critically. In Armitage, we used to memorize most of the time. Most of the book. I remember one time in Form 1, I memorized everything that I think the professor was a Sierra Leonean. We used to call them master. I memorized from A to Z, and I think that during that exam I got 100. But when the teacher asked me to read it back to the students, everybody was saying because they knew that I memorized everything. But here, education is very. I tell them that it's very easy compared to the Gambia, because here the materials are here for you to learn. At times they will even tell you to have open textbook, exams. You open your textbook, you take exam. We didn't have that in the Gambia. I don't know now, but at that time we didn't have that. So my advice to any Gambian, if you are well prepared in the Gambia and you have the best education in the Gambia, if you come over here, I see no reason that you can't succeed if you are focused and you want to do the right thing. I see no reason that you can't succeed in the school system. It's not easy, but I feel like if you put effort and you put your focus and understanding that you want to succeed, then you have a lot to gain in the future. But to compare the two, I would just say that in terms of technology, they are far, far ahead of us. And in terms of resources, they are far, far ahead of us. And I wish the Gambia government or the African government can start investing more in education, because education is the key to success, is the key to development, is the key to anything. If you want to be successful like the rest, then you need to invest in education.
Indeed, Musa, you're very right. And the importance of education in a country, obviously, without education, there is very minimal development, and that is part of our challenge in Africa. You had mentioned at the beginning that you're part of a group of people at Seaton Hall University that look to reach out to minorities to help them come to college and better themselves. I think that's the government's way and the society's way of looking at it, understanding the stake they have, in the communities, and reaching out, even giving people free scholarships to motivate them to come. And I hope that it's a learning lesson, and that some of our governments back home are looking at this to understand that education is not only a duty, but it's a responsibility, and it's also government's responsibility to sometimes use government resources to better people so that they can get educated, get a good education, and be able to become good and productive citizens in our society. Now, Musa, I know the average Gambian is very humble, and I know you're a very humble individual. But Musa, you've got to stand in front of that mirror every once in a while, look at yourself and say, my goodness, from Bansang Primary School to Seaton Hall University. I mean, that's almost like a dream, but it's a reality for you. Can you talk about that when you find yourself among those professors at Seaton Hall University? You tell that to a young man in Gambia right now. They think university is this big old institution that we all had, back home. But here you are now part of that, elite university. Can you just talk about that and how the feeling is, the satisfaction and the pride that you feel, and the journey, the success, how sweet it is to come from Bansang Primary School to Seaton Hall University in the United States?
Yeah, you're putting me on the spot, but as I just mentioned, I think the credit goes to my family in the Gambia and to all those people who contributed towards my education. And I always tell this story to Africans here. I normally go around and give some, little encouragement to Africans in New Jersey here, especially in Newark area and Evington and South Orange. I always tell them a little bit about my background. I always tell them that I come from a humble background because I lost my parents at a very young age. And being that coming from an orphan background where, I didn't have any parental support, and most of the support came from my brothers and sisters who were old enough to help me at that time. I always tell them that education plays a key role in my life, education and sports, were the two things that get me out of trouble. Education is an equalizer. So I give credit to all the people who helped me along the line, and I'd say I'm humble, in the sense that without their help, I wouldn't be where I am today. At Seaton Hall here, I always tell them the story, and I always tell the story about myself. I always tell them that also there are many stories. There are many stories like Musa's stories in the Gambia. Some of their stories are very much exceptional, actually, compared to mine, because I've been just lucky being one of the people who got the chance to get to the West and get Western education. But we had very, very, very smart people that who were in Armitage, especially very, very, and today they are still in the Gambia. But I think hadn't been that they have the opportunity, they would have been outstanding scholars in the world today. Because they have the intellectual capacity to do anything. Because I've known them personally, they were very bright students. So people like us were, able to get here. Thanks to Allah, thanks to God that we had the chance to get this Western education. So I tell the story to my colleagues here, my, co-workers that, it's just a miracle that I'm here because when I was in the Gambia, I never thought that I was going to be in university. Well, that was never a dream to me because there was nothing a symbol like that in the Gambia that actually mentioned university. At that time, it didn't have any university in the Gambia. So it's either you become a teacher or you go and join the military or you become a nursing student. So like many of the Armitage students, they went to the Gambia School of Nursing, and many of them became teachers. So as I just said, I'm humble that I struggled my way. It wasn't easy, but my educational journey took a long way before getting to Seaton Hall University. I got a French government scholarship where after sixth form I went to the University of Anta Diop in Dakar, where I did my Mise à Niveau in French language, Mise à Niveau in like an ESL class in French language, where I got my diploma before going to France. It was in France that I started my higher education in university, and I started with science économique, which is science in economics in French, in English. So I started with science co, and from there I spent 2 years in the university in France, in Saint-Étienne. And after that, being lucky again because of soccer, I get an athletic scholarship in the United States, where I went to Mercer County College, where I was given a 2-year college scholarship to play soccer. And from there also I was lucky to get a 4-year scholarship to come to Bloomfield College, where I was able to finish my undergraduate in economics. So after finishing that was time also, as I say, thank God again. I have colleagues at Bloomfield College who were very helpful, and some of my professors were very helpful. They knew my potential in mathematics and statistics, so they hired me as a tutor at Bloomfield College there, where I was tutoring before becoming a joint professor there. And it was from there that some of my colleagues also recommended me at Seaton Hall, where I got the graduate assistantship and to do my master's in diplomacy and public administration. So that's where I did my master's in diplomacy and international relations, and another master's in public administration. And currently I'm doing my doctoral program in higher education, leadership management and policy. And my area of interest is in women's education in sub-Saharan Africa, where I'm currently focusing on the Gambia. So that's the story I always tell people. I always tell my African brothers and other students here that my story may be unique, but there are many stories like that coming from the Gambia, or very, very smart students in the Gambia who didn't have the chance. Probably there are still some people who are in school down in the Gambia, but they don't have the opportunity because of the educational system that we have in Africa. It limits us when we come to higher education because the opportunities are not there. And even if they are there, it's only the few who get the opportunity to have access to higher education.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that, Musa. I know that you did mention the importance of how soccer has really contributed to your success, but I also look back, there has been better soccer players than you in the country that have came to the United States here, but they didn't have the necessary, the good foundation that you got, in the educational field. Or in school, which made you understand the routes and how to build that network and take advantage of your soccer skills to really, benefit you like you're doing today. And this is what, the essence of this particular conversation that we're having, for people to understand, no matter what talent you possess, there's got to be some kind of an educational background to it, and you have to understand the aspect of networking and being able to work with people, build a relationship, because in most cases, it's not sometimes just what you know. It's also who you know, and that friends that keep recommending to you, the teachers seeing your potential, exposing you to that opportunity out there is very, 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 very important. So do you still play soccer? I know that now you have a big belly on you, and you got kids, your wife and stuff. Every once in a while see you, in soccer gear, which it's very typical. I wear soccer gear too. I probably can't give you more than 25 minutes in the soccer field. Do you still play? And I know that you're very involved in the soccer tournament in the East Coast there with some kind of African tournament. Can you just talk about that a little bit?
Yes, I still play soccer, and as you just say, old age is catching up with me, and the belly is coming out. But as I always tell my family, the soccer is in the blood, so it's going to be really tough for me to get away from it. But I'm still playing soccer, and as you just said, like sports in general bring people together. It's through the soccer that I get to know many people from different parts of the world. And as I just say, in this area here where I live, you hardly see any Gambian. But through soccer, I've made friends from Ghana, Nigeria, Cameroon, Ivory Coast, name it. And I earn respect among them because of, as I just mentioned, the way we were trained in Armitage. The way we were educated in Armitage, we tend to fit in wherever we are. So you can see, as you just said, some of my pictures, you will be seeing me on the soccer field or organizing tournaments. And again, I give that credit to Armitage, and I give that credit to all the Gambians and all the people who contributed towards my upbringing, because you have to build a reputation among people for them to trust you to do those kind of tournaments. And every year we have all African tournament. We usually have more than 7 African countries, and this brings all Africans together. We see each other not only in the aspect of sports, but in the aspect of brotherhood, sisterhood, and we see ourselves as one people. So we do that every year. Cameroon, Nigeria, Senegal, Liberia, Ivory Coast, name it. Many countries participate in this tournament, even non-African countries. So that's the importance of sports in my life, and I see myself as a global citizen because of sports, and that's a plus. That's a plus because of Armitage. So because of people like yourself who were there also, showing us the right way to do things when we are in Armitage. Armitage is not only about education, it's also about discipline. And if you don't have self-discipline, you don't have that self-esteem in yourself, it will be very difficult for you to operate or to function in any society, especially a society where it is very diverse of people coming from different backgrounds, different ethnic groups from different countries. So you need to have a solid upbringing, a solid education, which we get in Armitage for you to be, a leader, not only a leader, but a servant leader in those communities. And that's what I do. And all what I do, I learn it from institutions like Armitage and from families and friends, in the Gambia, and those also that I met in France and in the United States. So that's what I do when it comes to sports. And as you just said, whatever talent you have, don't underestimate yourself. Because in this country, whatever you have, you can make the best use of it to give you education. Because without soccer, to tell you the truth, I went to school from community college up to Seaton Hall University. I've never paid a dime in school, and all the credit goes to sports. Athletic scholarships, from athletic scholarships to academic scholarships. So any talent you have, I will give that advice to all Gambians and all Africans. Take advantage of it, because that talent or that skill can get you whatever you want to get once you are focused and you are serious about it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. That is Mr. Musa Manneh from Bansang. in the CRR, from Bansang Primary School to Seaton Hall University. It is definitely a success story, Mr. Manneh. It is so good to have you on the conversation to talk about these very important issues. You obviously gave us a good, understanding of your background, how you came from Bansang Primary School to Seaton Hall University, what you do, your love for soccer, how soccer has helped you, plus education to get you to where you are right now. Musa, I just wanted you to take a quick minute to just talk to that young Gambian that is coming to the United States right now and is torn between having to work or go to school. Talk to that young man or woman and help them understand the importance of how you balance those two to make sure that you not only take care of yourself right now, but you also set yourself up for the future.
Okay. Well, if I have to advise any Gambian coming from home to the United States or even those staying here, I will advise them that it's good to work, but I would advise them to look into education. If you have the opportunity to go to school, and even if you are working and you think that you can balance the two, and you are ready to go to school, and I will give the priority to education before anything like to work. Because I know you need money if you don't have scholarship or whatever to pay your bills. But if you can make the money and go to school and pay for your school, where it's going to be gradually, taking one class or two classes at a time, I will advise you to take education seriously because that's an investment for the future. You just don't want to be working all your life without having a better education in this country because at the end of the day, the diplomas or the degrees, they're going to count. Even if you don't use it here, but you can use them back home, you can use them anywhere in this world. So I would advise any Gambian or any African to take education first, because education is the key to success. My own example is that even people back home and my nephew, my nieces, and other people, I advise them if you do good in school, that would encourage me, that would motivate me to invest in you to come to the United States. But if you want to come to the United States just because you want to make money, well, I've been here for so many years. I'm not a millionaire yet, but at least I have more books than money, and they count a lot in my life. So I would advise you first, make the grades, try to work hard in the Gambia, try to get that certificate, make sure your transcripts are good. It will make it easier for me to help you to come to college. But for the mere fact that you just want to come to the United States for the sake of the name of the United States, and that's very misleading because you in this country, you may be lucky to get money, but it will be very hard, But education will open many doors for you in this world, whether it's in America, whether it's in Europe or in Africa. So I will just advise them. The essential thing is in life is knowledge. It's education. They can take everything from you in this world, but no one can take your knowledge and your education from you because you die with that. So I advise you to, make education part of your life. And those who are not in school now, you are in the United States, I always tell my colleagues and some of my African colleagues who intend to go to school, I always tell them it's never too late to go to school. It's never too late to learn. It's never too late to sit down in the classroom. Some of my classrooms have students who are far more older than me, but they know the importance of education, and they've come back to the school to make life better for themselves, not only for themselves, and also for their communities, for their societies, and for their countries. So just I would advise them, go to school, work hard. If you make money, invest it on your education. It's a priority for all Gambians, for all Africans. Because if we have to develop the Gambia, if we have to change the mindset of Gambians, if we have to promote democracy in Africa and in the Gambia, we have to change the civil society. And the best way to change the civil society, you have to educate them. If you don't know, if you don't have an educated civil society, they don't know how to vote, they don't know their basic human rights, it will be tough to change the country. It's just like a country in the darkness without a well-educated people. And because the civil society is a very important element of any country. If you look at the human capital index of many countries, the higher it is, the better the society is. And that's the difference between the West and Africa, or between other countries and African countries. The human capital index shows the level of education in terms of many variables are involved in that. But we may not have time to talk about that. But to develop the human capital of any country is essential to that country's development, and which is education.
Indeed, Mr. Manneh, thank you so much for that. I like you said, this is all part of what we need to do as a community. Is some of us that have experienced this and seen the benefit of it to be able to share with them the importance of that education, making sure that not only do you prepare yourself, but us as a community also to understand that part of our responsibility is that we share this information with the younger generation or with the people out there. Just like you said, it is never too late to go to school. That when I was going to school, obviously I went to school with people as old as my father and or my mother, but I worked with them. And that is where that network came from, and that's what landed me the current job that I do have, the ability to network, to stay close to people. Can you just talk about the importance of that network? Because in most cases, too, we Africans are very good at just going to school and getting that certificate. And then we graduate, and then we wow, now I have an education, and we expect this huge job or this very important position or, a good paying job. But we have forgotten the most important part of education, that is the networking. Because in most cases, you have to network, do that internship, join those clubs, those committees, at the college level that would build a relationship and sometimes even land you that job even before you graduate. Can you just talk about that, and if you have had, if that has helped you in any form?
Yeah, as you just mentioned, networking is very important in anything that you do, and we lack very much among Africans here. We don't network that much. But in the school system, as you just mentioned, the internships and other related job issues or things that can help you, get to the position where you want to be. Networking is very important. As myself, example of myself, when I was doing my master's in diplomacy and international relations, I was lucky to have a friend of mine who did his internship at Senator Frank Luttenberg. He was the state senator here, and because of my friendship with that individual, he was able to get me an internship at that place. And that opened the doors for me, because when I went there, I told them where I came from. They, get to know me a little bit about my story. The senator was very much interested in me, and they helped me a lot when I was there. And come to the network in the university system, I just also mentioned that it's through my network with my professors, because when I was there, I was, as I just mentioned, I was working hard, like I used to work hard in Armitage. Some of my professors liked me because I was very focused and I was doing my work, and some of them were even buying me the textbooks that I needed to, just because they wanted me to go through those subjects and they knew that I was working hard. So the network starts at the school level. It starts with you yourself, because you have to be somebody who is serious about what you are doing and who is very much interested in what you are heading towards your success, where you want to be. So you need to know people around you. Don't be too reserved about yourself, because I've experienced that as an individual myself, and that's the African mentality, because you don't want to approach people most of the time. But we have to open up, because you want to succeed in this kind of environment, especially in the West. Networking is very important. If I got my first scholarship at Broomfield, my first job as a coach at one of the schools here, Caldwell High School, I was through network, because when I finished school, I was looking for a job. My coach just recommended me to that school. At that time, I didn't even meet all the requirements, just because of my closeness to the coach and the respect I've shown to the coach. I was able to get my first job, as a coach, and also my first scholarship to come to Seaton Hall University here is through the network. So I would just advise Africans, this is the best time. The technology is out there. The information is out there. We have to network among ourselves. Like any Gambian, personally, if I see a Gambian, I'm always excited. If I meet you in a restaurant, I'll just start talking to you. Maybe you'll say, oh, this guy talks a lot, but I try to engage them. So that they can know a little bit about me, and also, I can know a little bit about them, because you don't know who is out there who can help you. So I think that's the conversation that we need among our community that you are doing right now. I'm not a radio person. I'm very timid in front of the mic. But I think, because of people like you, I'm always willing to go out there and talk to people. Because no man is an island. If you want to stay by yourself, you won't go anywhere. You have to come out of the box and reach out to the people. And people like yourself, you are doing that job through these interviews, through the radios, and you are enlightening the civil society in the Gambia. We are getting conscious about our society. We're getting to know other people through your program, and we're getting to know other people who are not even Gambians. So I think the network is to advise any Gambian, all the Gambian community, regardless of your ethnicity, your cultural background, your political affiliation. We should network. We should engage each other. It's true that we will get information, especially in the West, because information is out there. And if you don't get that information, you're not going to go anywhere, because information is the key. Is the key. There are scholarships out there. There are other stuff out there that you need. But the only way that we can get to know about all those things is just by networking and engaging one another. Gambia is a small country, and we are one family. So the networking should be very easy once we start communicating and when we start engaging each other. As you just mentioned, it's network. When I first started our own organization, I heard about Mr. M.B. Krubally, and that's you yourself. And I feel like I need to reach out to you because you have your own experiences in life. You've been out there, you've been doing those kind of jobs. So the best person that I need to get help from was people like yourself. So as you just said, networking is the key, and information is associated with networking. So the two go together, or do they go together? Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Musa. That is obviously very, very important. We Africans especially are very guilty of this, and even other nationalities, in the fact that we go through school, we get very, good grades, we graduate with that, master's, PhD, Bachelor of Science or whatever, but then we cannot realize a good job. We cannot, and the frustration builds up, and people tend to think, oh, it's because I'm not here, that we end up going back home, and, the desperation continues to kick in, and you end up picking up a job that is not even in your field, or end up, compromising your standards to, work for people that you definitely know it's not, but because you spent so much in school and gotten that status, you feel like you have to do whatever it is, even if it means taking up a job, that is not going to help society. All of that, to me, is the lack of networking, and that's what part of this conversation is about, is to talk to Gambians out there, talk to one another, for people to understand the importance of getting connected, the importance of getting to know each other, the importance of getting to know each other's abilities, and the importance of just having that simple conversation that is going to open up the doors for us to be able to talk to one another and be able to help one another, not only as citizens of the Gambia, but as citizens of the world, to better our communities, both outside and in the Gambia. Now, Musa, I've talked about, the success of how you came from Bansang Primary School to Seaton Hall University. You would fall into that category of elite Gambians, quote-unquote intellectuals. You have been the intellectuals, the very learned people of Africa, and especially in the Gambia, as somewhat accused of not really getting into society and especially our communities or our case in the Gambia to really make that, bring about that difference. I know you're doing your thing on the side, but in most cases you talk to people, they tell you it is these educated people that come back here and really, help our leaders, oppressors and all that kind of stuff. Can you just talk about that, the importance of when one is educated, the importance of having to give back and making sure that you don't fall into that category of people that are just taking up a job just for the sake of it, or a job that is going to affect the nation. But the importance of giving back, like you said, right now you're working with Seaton Hall University that is focused on helping minorities. You're engaged in this soccer, tournament thing. Your networking is what brought you here. Without talking about the Bansang Association, because we're going to talk about that a little bit, just the importance of giving back in order, to continue this, strength of developing people.
Yeah, thank you very much for bringing that topic on the elites. Personally, as I just mentioned to you earlier on, just like you, our upbringing has always been the way we were structured in Armitage is enter to learn and go for to serve. So I always see myself in that light, in line with that, because regardless of all the degrees you have, you can have 2 masters, you can have bachelor's, you can have a PhD, but that's not the end of it. And the good thing is that you go back and serve the community who made you who you are today. The degrees are very important, because they give you the skills set and they give you the knowledge, how to go about things. But if you have the degrees and you can help your community, then you can help the society, you cannot help the world, then what's the use of all those degrees? So for me, we have to be humble about the degrees. And the important thing is, what can I do for people? Am I ready to be a servant leader? Or am I just going to be out there hanging all those degrees on the wall, or just showing people that I'm an elite? As you just mentioned, there's a lot of literature on elites, what they are doing in Africa, and we read about it, we understand. Some of the problems in Africa are associated with the elites. And the elite system in Africa at times is also structured one way or the other. Even in the Gambia, during our days, even the scholarship and all those things were given to people whose parents were well known, who were very much associated with the government, and even right now probably the same thing is happening in Gambia and many African countries. So the same elite system goes back, and they the same elites who get this Western education, they go back home and they're still controlling the same people that their fathers or their grandfathers or their people have been controlling. And so we can look at it from that aspect, and also you can look at the other aspect, like some people, when they go back home, they're not given the opportunity to express themselves. They're not given the opportunity to do what they want to do. And those who are vulnerable to the system, they get thrown in prison if they are not killed. Those who cannot say anything, they blend in. They blend in the system. It means you become part of the system, because that's the way of survival for some of them. So it's a very complex situation in Africa, where the elites, you can see elites in different ways. The elites who are attached to the system, and the elites who come back to change the system, but they're not allowed to. At the end of the day, they become victims. And the elites who normally come back, and they know that they can't do anything about the system, so they blend in, and they become corrupt, and they become polluted with all kind of stuff. So it's a different way of looking at it. But I think as Africans, we have the assets, we have the intellectual background. Most of us right now in the United States, many Gambians are educated. We have many educated Africans. We have the skill set, we have the potential to develop the continent once given the opportunity. And because the final destination is Africa, whether we like it or not. That's where we come from, and that's where we're going to go back at the end of the day. But the political situation and other, economics, we can always talk about that, and other conflicts, are preventing us from going home, and that leads to brain drain. As I say, I'm at Seaton Hall here, but I'm proud to be here because this school gave me the opportunity that probably if I was in Africa, I wouldn't have had that opportunity. But do I want to be here for the rest of my life? No, I want to go back to the Gambia and help develop, contribute to the development of the Gambia. And even if I cannot do that, then I want to be some part of Africa where I can contribute to. So that's my career goal. That's why today I'm studying higher education, leadership management, and policy. And most of my studies are focused on sub-Saharan Africa because that's where I come from. That's where I've seen the underdevelopment, and that's where I've seen the disparity between men and women. And so we, the elders, have a responsibility. It doesn't have to be only working in the Gambia. If you don't have the chance to work in the Gambia, you have the chance to work. You have the chance to work in Senegal or in any part of Africa, in any part of quote unquote developing countries. I think you should go out there and contribute your quarter of, towards the development of that part of the world. Because developing a child in Bansang, developing a child in Basse, in Senegal, they all go towards the development of those countries and eventually Africa and eventually the globe itself, the world. So I think we have a big responsibility as elites, not because we have a degree and not because we are well known, but we get those degrees to go and serve the community and the society that we come from.
Thank you so much, Musa Manneh, for that in-depth and for being very honest on that topic. Obviously, the intellectuals do get their share of blame, and I am guilty of that too. In saying that sometimes when we get to that point, we really don't look back. I know many of us are involved in a lot of other efforts to see what we can do to not only help bring about change, but to hopefully empower the youth to get to better understand the importance of giving back. But now, Musa, you are going to Seaton Hall University. You teach over there. You understand the education system these days. And if we're just going to be honest, without taking a swipe at our kids or the younger generation, the quality of education in the Gambia sucks. These days you perceive some of these kids write on Facebook, they can't even write a correct sentence. And, the whole short key, the whole slang, and, not to even talk about the primary schools. The state of education in our country is at its worst. And that has to do with a lot of reasons that we don't want to, we can spend hours talking about that and debating that. Let's say the Gambia government is listening to you, or the education department, or the Minister of Education in the Gambia. The experience that you have in Gambian education system compared to the education system here, what advice do you have for them to better the education system back home?
Well, I have to advise the Minister of Education or the Minister of Education. Being that now the education system in the Gambia is very poor, as you just mentioned, I know nowadays was very strong. When you leave school, you are well prepared to do anything that you want to do. If you want to become a nurse, you want to become a teacher, you are well prepared for it. In those days, you don't specialize in only one subject. In Armitage, you were prepared for all the subjects until Form 3. Where you end up choosing the classes that you want to proceed to do the GCE or level. So regardless of I always tell, even here, my students, regardless of the accent, or we still write the grammar right, correctly. So we may not speak the language fluently, we may not sound as American, we may not sound like British, but in those days, people know how to write well, So if I have to advise the Minister of Education, I would advise them to look back probably 30 years ago, how the educational system was in the Gambia from the elementary level to the high school, and from the high school to the college level, and probably now to the university level, because they need to invest. And in order to invest, you don't just invest in the structural, like the buildings or whatever. You can build schools, but if you don't have quality teachers, it doesn't give you anything. So build a school, prepare the teachers. You need well-qualified teachers in the school system, from the elementary school to the college level. And it doesn't only stop at the elementary and the high school. In any country where you see they are very successful, they invest a lot in the higher education, and that means in the university, because that's where innovation takes place. We have people who become experts, research, and other stuff. So if you limit yourself to the high school and the elementary level, and there's no investment in the higher education, that still put the country back. So I've not been in Gambia for a long time. I don't know much about the educational system. Most of the time that I read is through the literature review that I'm reading right now, talking to a few Gambians. But I've had, as you just mentioned, many of the people, the students coming from the Gambia right now, they are not well prepared in terms of subject areas. Some of them may be good in English, probably not good in math. Some of them may be doing the accounting or all those stuff. So they're not well-rounded students. And in our days, during our days, we were all well-rounded students, because you can see people, they're still good in English, and they're still good in math. Maybe they are good in mathematics, but they still have the skill set to write in English. So I was a science student. I wasn't that much into English, but I make sure that I pass my English classes. But here now you can see Gambians or African students coming over. They can write correct sentences. So it's a problem. If that's a problem in the Gambia, then I would advise the Minister of Education invest in teachers, quality teachers, qualified enough to teach at any level. So that's what we need. And university is a priority. Higher education is a priority. In any development, in any country that wants to develop, we have to invest in higher education. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Musa Manneh. It is a big deal, from Bansang Primary School to Armitage High School to Dakar, then Antejob, to Paris, and now to Seaton Hall University. It is a success story. It's a big deal. You talked about how you used your soccer skills to land you that scholarship, but the importance of understanding what to do and how to network to get to where you are. You've gotten there, and you now have your family. You've become a very productive citizen of this country, of your community, and hopefully someday you're going to go back. You're actually somewhat making a big difference back home. You are part of the Bansang Association, part of the founders there. Can you just, in closing, just this final section, let's talk about the Bansang Association, the importance of some of the things that you guys are doing there. What is the Bansang Association that you helped found, and what are you guys up to?
Yeah, Bansang Association, the name is Bansang Kapo. This is an association, created by Bansangers and people from the neighboring places in Bansang and the surrounding villages. And our objective is just to come together and help our people in Bansang in regards to development. Personally, when I went to the Gambia in 2012, I've not been there for a long, long time. And when I went and see my village called Bansang, I was shocked. I was disappointed. I felt like I cheated many of them because when I was here, many people would tell me, oh, if you go to the Gambia, Gambia is developed. If you go to Bansang, Bansang have changed. But when I went there, it was a total different story to me, personally. I don't know other people's perspective about it, but when I went there, things were in the way I wanted to see. That's not the way I expected to see Bansang. And I went to the schools, I went to the hospital, I went to many areas. I said, okay, well, I'm here now. I'm seeing. They say seeing is everything. So there was a camera with me. Then I decided to record, take pictures, making sure that when I come back here and I will try and make sure that I show it to all Bansang, because this is how Bansang is. This is how the Bansang Hospital is. This is how the schools are. The kids are down there. They don't have chairs to sit down. The kids, they don't have books. They don't even have a good lab, for computers. So just in summer, I was very disappointed when I went to the Gambia, and eventually I stayed in Bansang in all my holidays because I didn't even want to go to the combos. I was attached to Bansang all along, and as I say, I was there, but I wasn't very happy about myself. I felt like I took so many things for granted when I was in the States, and I felt like disappointed, and I've let down my people in terms of helping them whilst taking some things for granted here, which could have been a help to them in Bansang. So that's when I came in. We still have that thing going on, the association, but I said, let me use the tools that I have with me, the camera and everything. So when I came in, and I decided to post some of them on Facebook and on social media to let our people know that our people need help. And the only way to do that is us coming together as one family, as one people, and try to help our people. And helping Bansang is not about Bansang, it's about the Gambia, because if you develop a child in Bansang or you develop a child anywhere in the Gambia, it's for the good of the country. So I think every Gambian has that responsibility to make that change in the life of their people if you have the means and you have the resources. And that's what the Bansang Yoruba Couple is about. It's about all Bansangers. It's about all of us coming together as a unified group and a family to help our people. And when we say our people, it's not necessarily Bansangers, but to help the Gambia, because Gambia is one family. And also get that encouragement from people like yourself. From day one, you have been one of my mentors, and you supported me from day one. And you advised me on many things, how to go about associations. And I thank you for that.
I know that together, few like-minded people together to just even talk and build a relationship in itself is a success story. Let alone forming an organization where you have people in Gambia, bringing people together. It's a great thing. What are some of the projects that you guys did since you came into existence? I know that at one point there was a huge project of setting up tables and chairs and stuff. Can you talk on that?
Yes. 2 years ago, we were able to raise at least $10,000 US, and with that money, we were able to provide chairs and tables for the elementary school. And that's one of the projects that we did. And also, just recently, we were able to furnish the mosque, the Bansang Mosque. We were able to contribute towards the mosque. And also, we help in the medical. We have medical stuff here that we're trying to send to the Gambia for the hospital, probably not only for Bansang Hospital, but also for other hospitals in the Gambia. So we have many projects on the pipeline, to help our people, and we have so many good things coming on. And we also help our people when there is some unfortunate situation going on in Bansang or somewhere in the surrounding villages. We put money together to help our people, because this is all about family. And as we say, little by little, we will do many important things for Bansang. And these are some of the things that we have in our mind. And as Bansang ko in Mandinka be nganya killing soto porque Bansang mako in me we have the same objectives and goals to help the people of Bansang, and we are working hard towards that. And inshallah, with the help of God, we will definitely achieve those goals.
Thank you so much, that's obviously, very good to sometimes talk about some of these things. I know that, there's different challenges, that some of the things that we're doing is the role of the government, and we're stepping in, doing that for them, and maybe that is why we're continuing to enable these people, but that's a whole sort of different conversation. It is just good to know that your story, because when I look at you and I look at other Gambians, sometimes as a community, as a society, as a country, we forget to highlight the success stories. We focus on other non-important matters, but we forget to just show a journey of a young man that grows up in a small village, and today in the middle of New Jersey and at Seaton Hall University, teaching. That to me is something worth discussing. It's something worth celebrating. It is something that we need to highlight in our communities to understand for our people and our younger generation to understand that with a little bit of work and some dedication and the right networking, you can definitely do well in society. But most important, to share our experiences. I don't think Gambians we do that a lot, and I think a lot of us are very humble. I hear the hesitation in yourself trying to really tell the people, what you've done and how far you've come. That is a part of our DNA, but I think we need to seriously look at. That's what people do here in the United States and in the West. When they succeed, they get out there, they share their stories, they talk about it to death so that, people will hear about it. And that one person or that one young man or woman that hears it is inspired by you. That's what's going to create the network. Young accountants are there right now. They don't even know what the accounting world is about because they've never had a mentor. And they get out there. They don't even know what the accounting world is about, how the workforce is. They don't even know the dynamics of getting along. It's a whole totally different battle once you get into the work field, especially as minorities and as foreigners. Like you said, we have accents. We know how to do it. But sometimes we're so trapped with our way of doing things. We don't learn how to just, work in that, dynamic group of people out here. But thank you so much for coming to the conversation. We can go about this for a very, very, very long time. Very, very informative, very educational. And I would hope that a lot of people will listen to your story and be inspired by it. And hopefully a younger generation, a young Gambian listening out there will pick up that phone or, friend you on social media to hopefully start asking you these questions, asking for guidance and preparing themselves for the future. That's what I look at when I look at a success story like yours. And this is why you and I all are very busy in trying to work in little organizations and associations just to pass on, because you and I will not reach our potential. And it is very important that when that happens, that we look back and help the younger generation for them to reach their potential. Thank you so much for coming to the conversation. I know you're a very busy man. You're at school right now talking with me. If you have any last words, we'll just go ahead and close in. It's about a little over an hour. Thank you so much, Musa Manneh.
Thank you very much, Mr. M. Krubally. I will encourage you to keep on doing the good work. You're just a mentor to all of us. We appreciate all what you are doing. Thank you very much. And I encourage all Gambians to take education seriously because it's the key to success and it's also an equalizer. So thank you very much, and I appreciate for helping me and for also inviting me on your show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Mr. Musa Manneh, Bansang, Seaton Hall University. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It has been 21 years of oppression in our nation, the Gambia. Today, as we speak, our nation has been oppressed by a small group of people. What started in 1994, when a young group of soldiers, irresponsible soldiers, decided to take arms and overthrow a democratically elected government. Saadato's government was by far not the perfect government at all. They had their challenges, and as a nation, but one would attest, it was a government that respected human rights, a government that was busy trying to develop a third world country, a small country, a poor nation. Unlike the current Jammeh government, where women are raped, citizens are oppressed, tortured, a nation where you cannot even mention the name of a president, Saadato gave us our rights. There was a justice system, a good education system, a decent healthcare system. Yes, there was corruption, like every nation, but it was not at the magnitude that we experience today. As we speak, we have a senior citizen, a leader of our community, a decent individual. Whether you agree with his political ideology or not, we will all agree that Lawyer Ousainou Darboe is a true Gambian, someone who respects the Constitution of the Gambia, respects authority, and a good community leader who also had given the president some respect. But like a tyrant that the Jammeh is, he has no limits. When Ousainou Darboe went out to demonstrate and ask for the remains of Solo Sandeng, when Solo was arrested for simply demonstrating in the streets of Serekunda, Lawyer Darboe was also arrested and thrown in jail with his executive. It has been over 40 days now. The Gambia as a nation is quite mute and watching a small group of Gambians, Yahya Jammeh and his criminals, not only disrespecting us as a nation, but doing whatever he wants to, toying with our people. We have heard some of these women that were arrested in Ndongo Njai's, Fatmata Jawara's, come out and tell us how they were raped, beaten, their rights abused, and the Gambia as a nation, we still can't find it within ourselves to understand that we're dealing with a tyrant, a killer that has no limits, someone we're going to have to stop. But the reason why we have 21 years of oppression in our nation today is because a majority have refused to speak up for reasons beyond our understanding. Many have decided to look the other way, pretend like all is well. Gradually, he has almost touched every single family in that country. It has gotten to a point where one has to question, what will it take for Gambians to finally rise up and say enough? Our women did an excellent job when they came out, and up to this day today, they're out there in the streets fighting for lawyer Ousainou Darboe. But the Gambian male, that Gambian professional, that educated Gambian, many of us, especially some of us that are in the diaspora here, with good jobs, good careers, knows what to do, where to go, have refused to speak up. But beyond that, I also wanted to talk about our leaders, especially the opposition leaders. Part of being a responsible citizen is to be able to call out each other. In these difficult times, we're going to mention names, we're going to challenge people, and it will sometimes look like we're disrespecting them. But it is in no means a disrespect. When I, Momodou Krubally, stand up and say, where are the imams of the Gambia? Those that always spoke the truth. Those that never fear our leaders. Back under Saadato's regime, the imam was respected. When the imam speaks, people listen. But today we don't have any religious leaders in that country that are willing to get up and say what is happening in our nation is wrong. We don't have any senior citizen that is willing to get up and fight for Ousainou and get out in the streets and get their voices heard. Some are busy negotiating underneath for his release. To me, that is the worst of all of them. When a decent citizen is abused, when the rights of an ordinary citizen, a respectable senior citizen, a leader who has contributed immensely towards the development of our nation, is arrested, and we try to dance around the issue. Beyond the leaders in our community, the imams, we must talk about the opposition leaders. Because part of being an opposition is the fact that you don't agree with the status quo. You don't agree with the government. You don't agree with their policies. You think you have a better agenda. But most important, they had a universal agreement that there was tyranny in our country. But our leaders, the opposition leaders, I have to say in the name of the Halifa Salahs, the O.J. Jallos, the Mai Fatis, the Henry Gomez, the Mama Candes, have been a very, very huge disappointment to our nation. And the fact that these decent citizens can sit and 40 days of counting have refused to get out and demand for the release of Ousainou. If Ousainou can be arrested and illegally detained for simply demonstrating, not committing a single crime, I see no reason why any of these political leaders should be out in the streets free today. Because part of being a political leader is that you are asking for our votes, our money, the opportunity to give you a chance to show us what you do have. Today, these leaders have shown us that they don't only care, but that they're not brave enough to stand up. When Saadauda was the president of that nation, we all understood that there was a time where Khalifa openly challenged Saadauda. But today we live in a nation where all we do is right, where all we do is talk. It gets to a point where Khalifa is not even comfortable to mention Yahya Jammeh's name. You talk about Yahya Jammeh, we all dance around the issues. It is not only a shame, but it's a great sense of disappointment that the Gambians would let a senior citizen, a respectable individual like Ousainou, be languish in jail for nothing. It is a shame that we do have political leaders in the Gambia who hear our sisters come out in the open and tell them that they were being raped, tortured for simply demonstrating. It is a shame that we have political leaders in that nation that know that Solo Sandeng is dead, that thousands others are illegally detained in Mile 2, hundreds killed. Yeah, they recently went on tour and threatened the nation. Yet still none of these leaders is willing to confront Yahya like Yahya is confronting them. Ladies and gentlemen, the Gambia must look for new leaders because our current leaders have failed us. Like I stated, this is not a personal attack on anyone. Because part of being a leader, part of coming out to ask for our votes and our money, is that you also do have a responsibility. And I know it sometimes we come across as we're belittling these people or we're disrespecting them. To their families, we're not disrespecting your folks, your brothers, your uncles, or your fathers. We're challenging them. If your parents decide to seek an opportunity to lead us, they must also understand it comes with a responsibility. And as uncomfortable as it is, you all must understand that what we're doing is holding them responsible. Because today, a majority of Gambians are wondering, where is the opposition? This is the same opposition that cannot find it within themselves to come together and get rid of the dictatorship in our country for 21 years. This is the same opposition that each time you turn around the corner, they're telling you that something is in the works. This is the same opposition that cannot find it within themselves to have a decent conversation, to stand up for the average Gambian. For 21 years, we have had oppression, Gambians getting illegally arrested, getting jailed for no reason, people in remand for 21 years, people disappearing in a nation where we claim we do have leaders. Yes, I know many of you are saying if you get out, you also get killed. What is the use of a dead hero? Maybe sometimes it is worth for everybody to get arrested, for the nation to understand and the international community to understand that we have a madman at the helm. Sometimes leadership comes with a responsibility. It comes with that notion, understanding the environment that you're operating in. That sometimes it might cost you your life, but that is the risk that you have taken. I, for one, has a huge problem with those opposition leaders that in the First Republic were very outspoken, challenged Sadauda, a Democrat, but today don't have the decency of challenging Yahya like he does to us. Yes, you have done a lot of good stuff. And I know when you say something, the first thing the PDOIs will tell you is they are the ones that write about this regime. They are the ones that, when Yahya Jammeh went on his witch hunt, they're the ones that were there. They got arrested. Yes, that is the deal that you signed with the Gambian people. That is the responsibility you decided to do and take on to represent us. But it is a huge disappointment that you have not only looked away for 21 years and refused to get out in the streets, but today your colleague, your fellow opposition leader, a respectable senior citizen in our nation, is under custody. And we still think the letter writings and the debates back and forth with a dictator is what it's going to save our nation. Ladies and gentlemen, I know this is not sometimes the type of conversation that is needed, especially in the situation that we're in. But every Gambian must take a step back and look at their position. No matter how successful you are, no matter how happy you are today, how free you are today, the simple fact that our sisters have been raped, or citizens are oppressed should be a reason why we should all rise up and say enough of this dictatorship. This is not in any way attacking anyone. It is an honest discussion with you. I am a Gambian, like many of you listening to this. I am disappointed with my current leaders, beginning from Yahya Jammeh to the end of the opposition. I have challenged Ousainou Darboe before his arrest to rise up and protect the Gambian people. He did that. Maybe Ousainou knew what I know now, that if he gets up, even his colleagues will not defend him. We have disappointed Ousainou. You have disappointed Ousainou as the opposition leaders. I know many of you can come back and counter my argument. But no matter what you say, we have not heard you speak like Yahya Jammeh. No matter what you say, we have not seen you or heard you telling Yahya Jammeh like he does or call you by names. He had mentioned that he will kill opposition leaders, and nobody can do anything about it. He dared you. Do something about it. Do something about it, my Fati. Do something about it, OJ. Do something about it, Mama Kande. Do something about it, Halifa Sallah. Because you have taken up a leadership role in that community, in that country. You are the voice of that country. You are the voice of the opposition. You are a government in waiting. We're going to hold you responsible. We're going to challenge you as long as you take on that role. And if any Gambian out there decides to take on that role, you better understand that we're going to hold you to the same standards. We are a nation at the crossroads. The elections are very close. In December, we're going to have the presidential election. We all know that if we go into elections, Yahya Jammeh will get the mandate to rule the country and continue to oppress us for another 5 years. And that is going to force Gambians to do whatever they can to get rid of him. Because those of you that have the voice, the power to be able to do something has refused to, have resorted to Gambians picking up arms, Gambians doing everything they can to get rid of this government. You have refused to say enough of this madness. You have refused to, as responsible citizens, to come together, close that door, and come up with a plan to get rid of this dictator for whatever reason there is. The Gambia should be the center and the focus of what you're all about today. You have failed our nation. There's still time to redeem yourselves. But as long as you are calling yourself opposition leaders, I, for one, and many out there will continue to challenge you. Just like we respected Ousainou today for stepping up to the plate. Yes, Ousainou is in jail. Yes, he might lose his life. But he will go down in Gambian history as a leader that stood up when the Gambia needed him. And many of you that have been in politics, some as long as many of us lived, need to ask yourself, how far have you come along as a political party? If you're able to be an opposition of a nation for this long, not able to pull even 15 to 20% of the population, it must occur to you that maybe your message is not getting through, that maybe you're not listening to the Gambian people, that maybe you do need to change your style of how you represent the people. I don't know what it is to be a politician. I am the son of a politician. But I know for a fact that if I had the voice of the people like you guys do, if I had the backing of even 3% of that population, or let alone collectively all of you, you have at least about 30 to 40% of the voice of the people. That is enough to bring about change. but you have refused to capitalize on the fact that you're leaders. You have refused to put the pettiness aside. You have refused to move away from your corners. You have refused to just have a decent conversation with one another, a truthful conversation to end the dictatorship in our country. You do have a responsibility. And history will dictate. We will talk. There's still an opportunity for you, the opposition leaders, the imams, the community leaders, and the citizens to still make change, including myself. And to those people out there that are still saying that my job doesn't allow me to be in opposition or my job doesn't allow me to fight this regime, to those people that have great jobs out there today, that have decided to look the other way, that have refused to give back, it is easy to say, I'm doing something, you don't know about it. That is cheap talk. Doing something is getting out there, letting your voice heard. It's a numbers game. Doing something is about risking what many of us are doing. Doing something is about sacrificing. It is not about today you have a great job. Today you're successful, you can go build mansions. But 20 years from now, you're going to need that basic health care that you would love to have in the Gambia, and it's not going to be there. 20 years from now, you're going to want to go back home, but you wouldn't be able to because the country's run down. Our great-grandfathers died in poverty without good education and health care. Our grandfathers, the same story. Our fathers, the same story. We are here too. How are we going to make a difference to make sure that our kids at least live in a free nation? The responsibility lies within us.